I think I'm quite unhassled about things.
Oh,
I don't really get very worried about things or worked up.
Oh, God, get a driving licence.
I consider myself to be of above average intelligence.
I describe myself as reasonably intelligent, reasonably caring, and I'm quite generous. I've always enjoyed driving.
Just a normal person. Look at that. Generous. Come on then, Grandad. Loving. Out my way. Easygoing. Indicators. Use them.
Fishwives in cars is a pain in the arse. You know, there's no need for that, really. Oh, no. If somebody's doing something that's incompatible with the way that you drive, I do feel it's my right and my duty to pull up alongside one of those people and just shake my fist at them and toot them.
Most motorists believe that they're wonderful drivers.
I would say that I'm a pretty good driver.
For a man to admit he's a bad driver is the same as a man admitting he's bad in bed.
If you look at my driving licence with 6 points, you know, I'm obviously halfway down the scale.
There are a number of people who have this arrogant attitude to driving that think that traffic law is fine but for the other person. I don't need to stick within the speed limits because I'm a good driver.
It's as if they believe they're born with some divine ability to drive a car or to handle a piece of machinery.
Most obvious physical benefit from being a good driver is that you're an alive driver, and people forget that. One of the sad parts of being a doctor and working in a casualty department as I have in the past is that I see the repercussions of what happens to people when things go wrong on the road.
Why is it that when we get inside a motor car and we've got this tin box around us, that we don't think twice about a discourteous action?
These motor cars are all very well, but they don't half make people act funny. And just to prove it, look at this lot without their wheels, sticking out like sore thumbs. Keep up there, little one. Oi, oi, there's a queue there, mate.
There's something about a car which can take you from 0 to 10,000 BC at the press of a pedal.
Get out of the car and I'll give you one.
Gas goes through the engine, the car accelerates, and suddenly people are back as primitive hunters. The world is a kind of a jungle in which they are the warrior.
Now, if someone pulls out to me that's like a woman taking her kids to school or some old granny, you don't go blasting the horn, shouting abusive things. That's not what I see as the name of the game. But if it's someone like me, who looks like they're driving for a living around my age that's being bloody stupid, then yeah, they're going to get the horn jammed on hard.
I think being aggressive's really the only way to get anywhere. If you sit and wait and let people in, you just never get anywhere you're going.
Oh, don't you dare.
Basically, I've just got to be first. I've got to be first off at the traffic lights, and I've got to beat that huge Porsche following me, and I've got to be in front of that Mercedes, particularly if there's a man behind the wheel.
People who feel they need to drive aggressively aren't really fully aware of everything going on around them. Often you see people driving aggressively, and yet further up the road, there's stationary traffic, there's a queue, there are red traffic lights. In effect, it's short-term aggression because they see a short space ahead of them where they can accelerate without really anticipating that further up the road the traffic's stationary anyway, so what the hell does it matter?
I will just do anything to get past them. I will cut them up on the inside, swear at them viciously, hoot them.
Sometimes some drivers tend to feel they can impress their passengers by driving aggressively, and yet realistically all they're doing is showing the stupidity of their driving style.
No, actually I'm not all right. But how can I tell him that his driving scares me? He'd never listen anyway. He always gets so worked up. Why
Hey, what's your problem?
can't we just have a normal drive?
Oh, don't worry, mate. You help yourself.
He could have killed us there. Okay, calm down. There's no point in me getting worked up too. Every time we go out, it's the same thing.
Right, mate. You've got some ice in your
Oh my God, this is so embarrassing.
Yeah, always is, isn't it? Same every time.
I just want to crawl under the seat and hide.
Out of the way. Go on.
Some blokes have got a real problem.
I just can't understand what makes him get so wound up.
It's hard not to get wound up when you're behind the wheel, particularly if you've got, let's say, an urgent appointment to get to, and everybody else on the road, the traffic lights, the lorries, the cars seem to be conspiring against you. You can become quite paranoid about it. You can begin to think everybody's against you, and that will wind you up.
Whenever I'm driving in London, I'm generally late.
Oh, you thanks! Today we're always rush, we're always late. You're sitting in traffic with people who won't take the opportunities in front of them, who dawdle, who watch the light going green, and they know it's about to turn yellow, so they'll stop. Brilliant. 3 of us could have got through.
With the roads that we have these days, I'm afraid you're liable to come up against congestion, adverse conditions, all of which increase that stress level, affect your judgment, and can make you drive erratically and dangerously.
So, of course, by the time I get to the other end, I'm like this. I'm in tears, I'm so wound up, and yes, I have screamed in the car, and I'll go, come on, I want to get there.
The important thing about being wound up is realising that in fact you are wound up, and that's half the battle. If you find yourself getting irritable and aggressive in a traffic jam or busy traffic and everybody around you starting to annoy you, then pull over and take time out. If you're already running late, the simplest thing to do is to ring the people you're supposed to be meeting and say, look, I'm going to be 10 minutes late.
If you imagine that your ability to resist stress is like having money in the bank, and you start the day with 100 units of stress resistance, and every time you get yourself wound up, you have to pay out some of these units. And if you go over your limit, at the end of the day, if you're over, if you spend more than your 100 units, then you're going to start becoming irritable, frustrated, you're going to have rows with your partner, your health is going to suffer in all sorts of ways.
I was at traffic lights, the lights changed to amber. I stopped like a good driver. The driver behind me actually tooted, and I was in a bad mood. It was hot, sweaty, I had my PMTs. I literally got out and explained to her the sequence of the traffic lights.
Is it worthwhile spending these units of stress currency in order to have a good shout at the other motorists? It's not going to advance you 1 yard further down the road. It's not going to get you to your appointment 1 minute earlier. All it's going to do is to spend that money.
Driving requires 100% concentration. It's not something that you can do lightly.
Maybe I have genuinely not seen somebody on a blind side. I mean, it happens once in a while.
At any given moment when you're driving, only 1 in 4 of the drivers around you are actually thinking about what's going on.
Daphne's not thinking about what's going on. She doesn't even know where she's going. Pay attention, Daphne, to the lights, not your lipstick. Oops. Now you're blushing. Who's this intrepid explorer? He seems to be lost in his map. Uh-oh, here comes trouble. What's the trail up ahead? Not on the page. Have a care there. Oi, watch it, mate. Now that wasn't very clever, was it? Here comes Tony the trucker. His eyes aren't on the road. And neither are Racy Rogers. He's making his next deal. Uh-oh, here comes another distraction. Rather. Oi, watch out, lads. Now look what you've done. Hold up, calm down. There's no need for a punch-up. Careful. Oh, could have been more than your pride that was hurt there.
There's not very many roads, unfortunately, that I can drive along today over the last 12 years where I've been an accident investigator with the police, that I can't recall some serious accident occurring.
The problem with this is that there's some good drivers that drive very, very slowly, but they bore me rigid when I'm sitting in the car, so therefore they're not a good driver to me. Does that make sense?
Slow drivers, straight on the old hooter, flash in the lot, move over.
Come on, love.
I think that I'm safer on the roads than somebody who's sort of piddling along at 20 miles an hour.
The chances of killing somebody when you're travelling at 20 miles an hour is quite low.
I do speed an awful lot, yes.
When you knock somebody over, you knock their legs from under them, and they tend to fly up in the air and rotate.
I never stick to the 30-mile-an-hour limit, no.
The force of the cars knocking the person's legs away from under them throws them high enough into the air that as they start to come down to the front of the car, it connects with their head.
I basically drive between 40 and 50.
If you hit the pedestrian at 40 miles an hour, invariably that person receives such severe injuries that they die.
If I can get away with it, get away with it, get away with it, get away with it.
Daddy likes driving his car. I hope he doesn't get angry today.
Okay. My God. Right, I spy my little eye. Something beginning with W.
Wheels?
No. I can't believe this! Come on!
I hate it when Daddy shouts. I sometimes think it's me that made him cross. It's like he's not my daddy anymore. I don't like driving with Daddy.
No, there's windows anyway. All right, you'll go on.
I don't really want to play anymore.
A driver, particularly men, might think that they're driving well, and when in fact they're scaring their passenger. And if you scare your passenger, they have little, if any, confidence in your ability.
Yeah, one day when you're old enough, I'll teach you how to drive. Do you like that? Come on.
No, a licence is a privilege. And if you drive badly, if you drive irresponsibly, then that privilege should and must be withdrawn. We're really engaged at changing drivers' attitudes. We were very successful with regard to drinking and driving, and most people now accept that you shouldn't do it. What we're trying to do is to achieve the same thing with speed.
96.46. I think we'll still have a word with this gentleman because he's still going. We're doing 99. He's braking. That car's been in lane 3. We're talking about perception. That car's been in lane 3 all the time he's been powering down to it. And what has he done? He hasn't even reacted to it until he's thinking, I'm going to have to brake now.
He's going to do it one day to a novice, somebody who's on the motorway for the first time, and he will panic then into making a mistake. Either they'll move out of his way, or they'll brake. He's going to be that close, it's going to hit them.
Accident is one of the greatest misnomers that we have in the English language. An accident gives some indication that it is a chance happening. It might not be intended. Nobody sits at home and says, oh, I'll go out and have an accident now. But accidents aren't chance happening. They're caused because drivers drive badly, because they don't think what they're doing, because they go too fast. They just don't concentrate.
Here they come again, and they still haven't learned their lesson. Not one of them's concentrating. Look out!
A good driver, you could say, is one that doesn't have any accidents.
You could be a killer.
It's like a video arcade game with good hand-to-eye coordination. Of course, if you lose when you're driving, you either run somebody over, which is not very nice, or you smash the car up. Or you smash the car up.
When we're driving, I think most of us notice bad drivers.
I'm permanently being screamed at by other drivers.
There's the mixture of just people who shouldn't have a licence, for starters. I don't think that's me.
Concentrate on your driving, not the other person's.
Why rush to join a queue?
How often do you exceed the speed limit?